How we doing today, guys? This is Flash Forward. This is a blank cover that I got. I like this cover because you get both covers, blank and, of course, cover A. It's awesome. The variant cover is also out. I have that in my pull list. I still gotta pick it up. Let's go over who wrote this real quick. So this is Flash Forward with Wally West, written by Scott Lobdell, Brett Booth, pencil, Norm Ratman inks, and Luis Guerrero colors, and a whole bunch of other cool people at DC Comics who put their hard work in this book. I thought it was a great story, a good jumping on point if you've seen or if you read Heroes in Crisis with Wally West and that whole rundown of what they do to his character, and then this is kind of the aftermath. We don't know how long this takes place after Heroes in Crisis, but it seems like an interesting read. I loved it, and I'm going to be excited to jump into this every month. So let's get into this. Right in the beginning, we get to see Tempus Fuginuat, a really cool character. This one was actually in the Sideways series. He's missing his right arm. They're actually really cool characters. It's a race of characters that protect space and time, and they do a lot. We're gonna find out hopefully a little bit more about this character. He kind of jumps in, jumps out, but that's the point of the characters. With this race is we see them always for a split second. They tell us something dramatic, get us in there, look badass, and then they dip out real quick, and they're like, "You're supposed to be the hero now. Get on your job." So it's gonna be an interesting read to see that. They were also in New Challengers, so if you read New Challengers, you'll know that this is a race of beings. This one was in Sideways, but other than that, there's more than one, and they all have a different purpose, and their name is, I think, changes a little bit, but not really much. So it's gonna be cool to see. Next, we get to see the kind of like a flash of the past with what was going on with the Sanctuary and Heroes in Crisis with Roy Harper and how they were kind of living in their quarters, and it's very interesting. We also get an ad, so that you can go jump and grab that graphic novel, written by Tom King. Really good read. A lot of people are kind of jumping around how they feel about it, but if you like a character and you want to stick with it, you have to see the path that they put him on. It's not always the best path, but you know that's what they do with the character, and it is what it is. We find out that he's in Blackgate Prison. Iron Heights was destroyed. If you've been reading The Flash, I also like reading The Flash, and you see just it might not be a whole bunch of Flash, but it's just letting you know that there's certain events that happen in the DC universe, and continuity is a very big thing that everybody is very passionate about. So you just want to see them sticking to the script just a little bit. You see a couple rogues or Flash villains that Wally West knows and has to interact with, and it's very interesting to see him do that. Um, it's a good read. If you haven't got this issue, you need to go pick it up. It's a great jumping on point, I think, and it's gonna be great to see what happens with this story. I'm always I have good hopes and expectations for all DC stories. Um, Batman, the Snickers, ad. I always think it's kind of funny how they do this. They've been pushing the old school one because of the these dollar issues that they got coming out. I think that's really cool. We also get to see Linda Park, which is Wally West's wife, slash mother to his kids, and the whole reason why he flipped out to begin with. Because there's things in his life that are just missing, that are still chaotic because of what Doctor Manhattan did in the Doomsday Clock series, and the whole Rebirth series in general. And it's nice to see that they use her, and not that she's just a character that has to do with him, but she's a very important character when it comes to she's a reporter, and even though her and Wally don't have a relationship no more, she's still a reporter, and she still has to report on things, and she always wants the truth, and she knows him now, in a way where they're on a face-to-face talking, and he gives her little stories every now and then she throws it in the paper, and that's how she gets paid or makes her money. So it's very interesting to see how they use the characters. I love it. We get to see the Metron chair. This is an old, interesting, I guess, I don't know what you want to call it, but there's items in the DC universe that are very powerful, and to see, either them being referenced or used, or how they're going to use that equipment, I think is awesome. If you read Zero Hour or any old school DC comics and seen this or known about this chair, it's very interesting. We find out that this treasure hunter was looking for the chair. He thinks that he's going to be able or capable enough to, harvest the power of it. Not the case. The chair chooses who it also wants to run it, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go with that in this story. The chair, I'm pretty sure, just a little bit of what I've read, takes people across places and does, unique things. So for them to use it in this storyline makes a little bit of sense to me. I don't know a lot about it, so it's going to be interesting to learn as well. We get to see Wally West dealing with the memories of whatever what happened in Sanctuary, and he gets into an altercation with these rogues or these villains that he used to know in the past, and everybody wants his head because he's a superhero in a prison. He hasn't got his powers, but if you mess with the guy, and first he wants to take the beating, but if you break his collar and give him back his superpowers, you're done for. And that's what we see is the case, which is awesome. I can understand why he wanted to get beat up a little bit and take a beating because he kind of feels bad. That's the nature of his character. I think it's a good way to write the character. I think that everything they're doing is perfectly okay with me. But as soon as he takes down those people, we see Tempus Fuginuat, who doesn't look like he's in the best shape. He's barely making it. Um, he's telling Wally West so many different things at like one point that he's all trying to take it in, and it's very interesting to see how he might have been in prison for a second, but his character serves a greater purpose in the cosmos right now, and he's got to handle some things. He's the perfect person for it. They wanted the fastest man alive. He is the fastest man alive. We don't know exactly where they're gonna go with the story, but what we get is there's a cause and effect. The dark multiverse with Dark Knight's medals happen, and a lot of different things happen to the playing field. And even though there was a one big battle, in the Sideways series, we found out that he was opening rips through time and space and jumping through it, and he got this powers from the dark multiverse. And there's other different things that the dark multiverse is doing to the effect the New 52 universe, or the 52 planets, and it's very interesting to see what Wally West is going to be doing and how is he going to be going against everybody from these different Earths, or you know dark Earth multiverse, villains or characters that they, of course wanted to use, but they didn't have time for, but they're going to be showing up all over the place. I think that's very interesting that this writer decided to do that and take all these little characters and these pieces and say, we have a story here. This is the way it's going to go. So it's going to be an interesting read. I love it. We get to see Wally West back in his costume. They didn't change it up really much. Still looks badass. And then we get to see, of course, he's on a different Earth, and we get President Superman, which was in the Multiversity story. I don't know a lot about the character, but it's gonna be an interesting read. That was my take on Flash Forward. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you get down and start collecting the series like I did. Pick it up, guys.